Senate Minority Leader Charles Schumer said Friday Republicans are waiting until the last minute to begin working on a new corona package. The New York Democrat said on MSNBC, "The pressure on Republican senators is mounting. They're afraid to buck Donald Trump, who has shown no leadership. We're waiting until the end. They're going to be forced to do something. We Democrats are not going to settle for tiny little measures that do a little of this and a little of that." More than 4 months since Congress passed its first corona emergency spending bill in March, lawmakers are looking at pulling together a deal on a fifth package to help as the country stumbles into its reopening phase. Schumer said that July 31 is an impending deadline for those getting rental assistance and unemployment benefits from the government that were boosted when the pandemic shuttered the economy. Republican leaders say that they'll be able to pull together a bill before the end of the month, a deadline House Speaker Nancy Pelosi is also confident in. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell said his chamber is set to begin work on potential next bill when it reconvenes in mid-July. Pelosi, California Democrat, told reporters, "First of all, I'm not leaving for 2 weeks. They've made their overtures. They also have said publicly this or that should be in the next bill. So we anticipate we will have a bill." House Democrats passed their offer for the next bill nearly 2 months ago, a $3 trillion stimulus package that would provide for a surge in state and local funding, an additional round of direct payments to the public, with additional funds for vote-by-mail initiatives and the struggling U.S. Postal Service. Republicans have dismissed that massive package as an overpriced partisan wish list and want to focus on including liability protections for health care providers and small business owners. One of the biggest sticking points will be how Congress addresses unemployment benefits, which currently give $600 a week for those out of work during the pandemic. It was one of the more controversial parts of the $2 trillion CARES Act that passed in April. Meanwhile, President Trump has signaled his support for another round of stimulus checks. Representative Jim Banks accused the New York Times of endangering U.S. troops with their reports of Russia offering bounties to Afghan militants to kill U.S. soldiers. Mr. Banks, Indiana Republican, argued Friday that the Times report was framed to make President Trump as if somehow he was turning a blind eye to these bounties. He said on Fox News, "The fact of the matter is because a leaker went to the New York Times and they published this ongoing intelligence of these possible bounties, now we might not ever know the truth and we might not ever be able to hold those responsible accountable." He added, "If the intelligence does check out and it was true, that's what I mean. The New York Times, by publishing this story, has the blood on their hands of any lives lost in Afghanistan due to the bounties. We're never going to know the truth because the Russians at this point have shredded the evidence." Mr. Banks, a member of the House Armed Services Committee, argued it could have been worse if career intelligence officers gave the president intelligence that turned out later to be faulty. Representative Raja Krishnamurthy, who serves on the House Intelligence Committee, disagreed, arguing that the intelligence didn't need to be 100% vetted before going before the president. Mr. Krishnamurthy, Illinois Democrat, said on Fox News, "One thing that often happens with regard to the intelligence community is that they give intelligence, in which they have high or moderate confidence in, and then there are dissenting views as well, so decision makers, in this case the president, so that he or she is able to make a certain determination about what to do. We still have a lot of questions that deserve answers and the investigation continues." Leaders on Capitol Hill have received classified intelligence hearings on the reports last week. While the reports said President Trump was briefed on the matter and the administration was aware as early as March, the White House maintains that the president was never informed about the issue as it was uncorroborated at the time. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Senate Minority Leader Charles Schumer have brushed aside the administration's explanation, arguing this kind of threat would have merited attention from the president. They wrote in a letter, "Our armed forces would be better served if President Trump spent more time reading his daily briefing and less time planning military parades and defending relics of the Confederacy.